Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to InnovateBC on this fine Wednesday afternoon, or I hope whenever you're catching this video, that it's a fine day wherever you are joining from. My name's Michelle. I'm joining from Amisquitchie, Wisconsin, Beaver Hills House, Treaty 6 territory in Edmonton, Alberta. So our guests today are joining from the lovely BC. I always admire whenever anyone says they're from BC, I'm like, oh, but I'm a prairie girl by heart. So welcome everyone. We're glad that you have joined us for today's webinar. Really looking forward to having a conversation on tourism and marketing with Owl's Path. So we got Joel and Mary joining us. And so we're gonna have a really casual conversation. I'm gonna interview them and we're gonna hear more about what they're doing in their business. So really looking forward to spending, the afternoon, well, an hour with you folks today. So we're just gonna press pause though, and just take a moment. There's so much going on in our world today. Yesterday was another announcement of more unmarked graves, which is really always hard on our communities and our families. How this residential school legacy is tied to us today. And so we just want to press pause and honor, our people. We want to honor the families. We want to honor the story. I think Honorable Justice Murray Sinclair says, what could have been. So we really think of our people on this day, but then the greater on the global scale, we think of what's happening in Ukraine and countries that are, struggling profoundly as well. So there's so much that's going on, and we just want to take a moment to press pause and just extend gratitude to Creator. Even in the midst of the struggle and the darkness, that Creator is all about light and goodness and love. So we just want to tap into that for a moment and just extend gratitude for all of our relations. We think of this beautiful land that has been given to us. We think of those sacred waters. We think of community, our families and our chosen families. We think of all our relations. So Creator, you've given us so many good gifts, and we just take a moment and honor, and we just ask for strength, and we say prayers for the families who really need that extra strength in these days. So hi Creator. All right, so you've joined us here, InnovateBC. I am really thrilled to announce or to introduce our guest speakers today. So we have Joel, who is a Cree from White Bear First Nation in Saskatchewan, and his partner, Mary Mason, and she's a Canadian-born with Indigenous roots from the Marshall Island in the South Pacific. So they live on the beautiful west coast of Turtle Island, also known as Canada. They have created they create graphic designs, silk screen apparel, wired, wrapped jewelry, and other wearable and decorative arts. So connecting with nature and having a creative outlet has always been very nurturing, especially when going through difficult times. So we need your gift in the world these days, and coping with head injuries and mental health, as well as overcoming addictions. So through stories of resilience, this couple hopes to enlighten a path forward for others who share similar hardships in life. The Owl's Path Market is an Indigenous family owned and operated marketplace, which offers unique designed apparel, quality handcrafted pieces, and authentic Indigenous artwork. Our Indigenous owned enterprise is the Owl's Path Market is an Indigenous family owned and operated marketplace, which we've already covered that. Pardon me, I'm so sorry. Their Indigenous owned enterprise is focused on joining many different businesses together to help bring opportunities and partnership for Indigenous communities and groups. So here's their vision. Our vision is to amplify and uplift Indigenous people throughout Canada and worldwide. We're proud to showcase the beautiful diversities and similarities of Indigenous culture, crafts, and creations, while shedding light on important issues that affect Indigenous people. So they're bringing their light and their gift to the world. So in today's webinar, you're going to hear from Joel and Mary, particularly around the Owl's Path tourism. They're going to discuss their journey to success in tourism and marketing. And they'll also talk about and be honest and real to share the obstacles of having to pivot during this pandemic, what inspired them to get into the tourism sector, and how to use social media to build client relationships, and how they support entrepreneurs. So I welcome you both. I remember sitting and listening to you, and I love the humble beginnings. I love the story of how your business came to be. So I'm really excited to have you here again. So tell us a little bit about you and your business, and then we'll get into the meat of those questions.
Thanks, Michelle. Thank you for that lovely introduction. I'm Mary Mason.
I'm Joel Marriott.
And we are life and business partners that founded the Owl's Path Tourism. Actually, we started off the Owl's Path in tourism and marketing as a tourism marketing company, where we were showcasing different landmarks, individuals, and businesses in our area on the West Coast in Newfoundland Territory. And yeah, we started off just with a cheap camera, a laptop, and the desire to do it. And so we've done all of our own, majority of our own photography, our website work, our advertisements and everything. But since the Owl's Path, we've evolved it more to be like our tree of businesses. So we have the Owl's Path with branches off into tourism, marketing, web development, graphic designs, retail, as you mentioned, and industrial hemp, and into the clean energy sector. And that's all under our canopy in our tree. So we like to utilize our partnerships and all the qualified people that we meet in our network.
Absolutely. It's one of those fun little things to be able to get that opportunity to be able to utilize all of your skills, what you like, and be able to bring that forward into your business. It's really fun.
So what made you pursue a business in tourism?
Well, we always knew that we wanted to get into business. We always knew that we wanted to be traveling around with our family. And so when we moved from the mainland to a smaller, new to us community called Port Alberni, we noticed right away that we were in a really highly Indigenous populated community. And so we were both like, oh, this is so amazing. Because it was like I said, it was a new to us community. And we're like, this is great. Our kids get to grow up with other Indigenous kids, and they get to connect with other Indigenous children and some more cultural experiences. Because as I think you mentioned before, Joel was part of the 60s Scoop. So he didn't really get to have that growing up. So we were really excited for them to have that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And when we both moved here, that was 8 years ago now.
Yeah, I guess.
We were both working in hospitality at the time, and we were observing the outlook that the community had towards tourism. And our community has a group chat where people were always talking about how tourism was dead and there was nothing here, like there's nothing here for tourism. And we're like, what? Like looking around. And working for other people in the community was kind of a bit of an eye-opener for us as well, because it kind of revealed to us how, unfortunately, racism was still a little bit alive to this day, which was unfortunate. However, through our negative experience and the spark to showcase to the community that tourism was in fact still alive and well, we decided to just, like I said, grab our camera and get out there and showcase, like, what do we have here? So we were going to different landmarks, different indigenous landmarks. We have a beautiful set of totem poles right at the Victoria Quay. There's also a beautiful carved monument for the whaling that was done here with the local tribes. So we wanted to showcase that sort of thing. And then from there, we went to NEDC, the New Channel Economic Development Company, and they were wonderful. They helped us with a small loan of $12,000 to get our business going. And so we upgraded our equipment and we invested it into a really good camera and higher speed internet computers and such, so we could process our videos and our ads, and also to just pay for like different business applications and programming and things like that. So.
Wow. So you've been there for 8 years. So look at what you've accomplished. What? Look at what you accomplished in 8 years, and 2 of those years in a pandemic. Like, that's so amazing. That's so inspirational. Okay. So how would you suggest individuals or communities explore the tourism sector? And if they are thinking of starting a business in tourism, where do you suggest they begin?
Honestly, just look around. A lot of tourism and a lot of travel and stuff, it's an experience and it's a lifestyle. So what you're looking for right now is the experience. You want to connect with the earth. You want to showcase to the people around you that that's where you're from. You have these roots to this community and to this area. And from your vision and version, you can showcase your community and your local community for sure. Landmarks, locations, stores, your favorite place to eat. Okay. You could even do that, you know? And so tourism is basically an opportunity to be able to showcase everything around you.
Yeah, your lifestyle, the community's lifestyle, thinking of things from a cultural and historical, adventurous, or like a unique experience that you could add. Think of it from that kind of aspect. And then do your research and be open to collaboration. We researched and reached out to so many Indigenous businesses as well as non-Indigenous businesses in the tourism sector. And we just started connecting with the business community while sharing all of the Indigenous companies that we had met, as well as ones that we connected with across Canada. And that's how we really acquired a lot of our affiliate partnerships, so that we could push our viewers to their pages as well as ours. And that's how we basically built our community. And yeah.
That's great. I think with any endeavor, I think the whole research piece is really, really key in having those conversations and dialogue. Because even though I think that you in what you're doing, you're blazing a trail, perhaps a trail that is unique, but there's also people and resources that you could tap into and to just collect and cultivate those stories to help you, navigate where you want to go. So I think research is awesome. That's it. That's a really great answer. All right. So many Indigenous communities will not pursue to grow cannabis, hemp due to the legalities and regulations involved. So what does the process entail, and what would you say to those communities and people unsure about pursuing cannabis and hemp production?
As an urban Indigenous people, we didn't have a nation or anybody that we had to ask. But at that time, we also didn't have the same support because we don't have the nation behind us. So it is a hit and miss kind of thing, but at the same time, keep going. Because at the end of the day, you'll be so surprised at where you get to. So what we're working on right now as the hemp and the industrial hemp license has gone into a plan and a path forward for housing and for clean energy.
Go
ahead.
First, we formulated our business concept, and then Joel actually brought that forward to a cannabis consulting company. And they were able to provide us with a federal report that was outlining the cannabis tourism sector and all the legalities that went along with it, so that we knew that we were able to provide legal and safe experiences to our guests. We've also been attending the cannabis engagement meetings with the BC Assembly of First Nations Chiefs and the BC Leadership Council. So Joel's been talking with a few of those guys relatively closely. And once that, they're actually working on a First Nations cannabis strategy. So once that is finalized, it'll be able to provide a roadmap of information encompassing cannabis for Indigenous jurisdictions. And again, if you're interested in pursuing, do your research and find out if your province or your municipality or your local First Nations government, figure out like if they support it and kind of where their legal side fits in with that. And then, yeah, get educated into what you're trying to do. Joel found out that there was different roads to take for different licenses.
There's a lot more in this game than just saying, hey, we want to grow cannabis or we want to grow hemp. You have to look outside of the box and think, okay, well, what are we going to be using it for? How are we going to utilize the plant? What's the plant going to be used for after it's being grown? You start looking into how are you going to utilize this for a community? You break it down into different sections, because I mean, each license has its own part to it. Some cost you a lot of money, some of them don't cost you as much, and some of them are more focused on THC and selling
medical
or just personal, or medical and then CBD and how to make textiles and all these other things. So I would say that do research, but also reach out to people that have those licenses, because not necessarily do you have to go through it yourself. You could partner with organizations like ourselves who we hold this license to build these. And the license can be moved to any of these nations behind us or that work with us. So the support between working within cannabis and hemp is really easy for the nations to work together for a common goal. That was the reason why we did industrial hemp, was because the common goal was housing and heating. And that was not just for here, that's also to start touching base with the Marshall Islands. So when we touch base with where my wife's from, you start to recognize some of the historic stuff that's gone through there, and then the land remediation that needs to be done through the islands that had an atomic bomb dropped on them. So these are all things that are there for people to start kind of just formulating, like what stopped it from so long ago when we used it all the time. You know, hemp and industrial hemp were used everywhere in our worlds. And so we stopped it about, I think it was like 75 to 80 years ago. And now all of a sudden it's coming back. And it's like, okay, so maybe this should be something that we look at as an opportunity.
So many benefits from hemp.
Yeah. And so honestly, if you're looking at it that way, there's also other ways to go through this product too. Partnershiping with other organizations that hold those licenses, like I said, that honestly is one of the easiest key points of getting something to go started somewhere, just by having support from other people.
Collaboration.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love collaboration around here. I think it's so important. Okay, so your first step then would be to kind of have a business idea, or would it be to just do research? Like, what would be your very first step?
What do you want to?
There's a few different steps that would work, because you cannot hold multiple licenses. So that is a one key point that everybody should know before they get into it. If you're going to grow and your nation already holds a growing license, you cannot have a dispensary or a industrial hemp license. If you have any of those, you have to have one or the and that's it. So that's where the collaboration comes, because some of them can help intermingle between the three businesses, and you'd be really surprised at what you guys can pull off together. As we're looking at it right now, we've currently been looking at, like, we were talking about tourism and hemp and industrial hemp, but Marriott touched base about the report that we had done. So our research has helped us get to the point where we opened up, I think it was a week and a half ago, we got our license for Colorado. So we're looking at in the cannabis game down in Colorado. And so that's part of the gradual growth through this business. There is opportunities on both sides of the border that, and technically, is there for people to look at. It's going to take a little time, but at the end of the day, if we're looking at it as a possibility for Indigenous people, we have connections to ways to be able to learn these skills really quickly, hands-on, and then be able to give it off to our nation to utilize down the road. There's a lot of cool things about expanding, but there's also a lot about just learning the two different sides of industrial hemp, cannabis, the two countries and their rules, the bylaws. It's like research. And at the end of the day, it's like, wow, you pulled in so much information, and then you'll be able to formulate where you want to go with your idea. So yeah.
That's great. Thank you. And you helped create understanding as to why this collaboration and partnership is so essential in this area. So thanks for clarifying that. That's awesome. Okay, so back to the tourism piece. It took a hit in the last 2 years. May I be so bold? Well, here in Alberta, we're opening up things again. Like, restrictions have been lifted. I don't think BC is quite there yet. But there's that light at the end of the tunnel, right? And so the tourism sectors is beginning to open up a little bit, or think about the summer, spring, summer, fall, hopefully up and running. So what are the ways you see the sector recovering, and what do you look forward to?
We're pretty confident that it's gonna return fairly quickly. Restrictions are easing. People are eager to get out and experience life again. And I mean, if international travel is an ongoing issue, we still have all of North America. And so with our affiliate partners, it's a bit easier for tour providers that provide tours in nature, because our guests can experience it from outside. So they have all this nice fresh air. I think that COVID has positioned tour operators so that they just have that extra bit of safety protocol in place in regards to people's overall health. So yeah, COVID has tourism operators, tour providers, and businesses in general thinking creatively so that they can still offer a great experience in a safe way to their guests. And so because yes, tourism did take a big hit. Indigenous tourism is going to come back, but it's going to take a little bit of time. So we're rooting for our partners, and in the meantime, we're going to be taking this time to focus on our own outdoor experiences. So we're going to be getting our camera out and filming our outdoor
fishing,
craziness with our family. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And we'll be showcasing just different spots all over the place in BC, as well as showcasing some Indigenous and non-Indigenous dispensaries as well. Hopefully getting to showcase some different grows as well. And then we'll be sharing our journey through our own hemp growing process. So we'll be able to showcase all of that in our tourism.
And with tourism bouncing back the way it is, it hasn't stopped anywhere else in the world. So other people are still able to come up to a point. I think we're starting to open up our borders again soon. And then if you're double vaxxed, it's making it so you can come in and out. If collaboration, that's another thing, because I mean, we're always open to that, because a lot of different platforms that we have and we see have different people behind them that actually are backing these ideas. And so we have, like, so we just opened up in the Bahamas. So Owl's Path is now opened up in Colorado, Bahamas, and we'll be up here in Canada. So our goal is to kind of utilize our platform and share that with our partners and whoever tours are interested in going into tourism. Um, there's a lot of entrepreneur businesses that are out there that are there to focus on helping you get to that next step. And sometimes just I honestly, I have these Zoom meetings that are like 10 minutes with random guys that I know, and they breathe so much good information and like life into you in those 10 minutes to just kind of help formulate where you're going to go next. And we're open to always sharing our friends and our collaborations and all that stuff, especially in this area, because when it does start kicking over, you guys, it's going to not stop, you know, because they're not going to have another reason to slow it down. So it's just go, go, go after this.
And you'll be ready for this. But I agree, Mary, the rest of Canada, we love BC. We love BC.
Yeah.
I was recently in Toronto, and I was like, can we switch our tickets so we can go to the West Coast instead? So I'm all about this. Okay, so we're going to switch topics here. We're going to talk about marketing, which is really fundamental to any entrepreneurship. So how have you used social media for client building?
Sure. From the beginning stages of our venture, social media has been super helpful in connecting with other entrepreneurs and their companies. We wanted to help elevate small and or up and coming businesses that are in our area, as we knew that they were a little underrepresented. So for some businesses, especially small business, social media is one of the easiest ways to connect with somebody quickly, and promote your business and add to your database, as well as cross promote all in one place. When we were doing our research, we noticed that some people didn't have a working phone number, or a website or an email address, or their email address was no longer in use. And so Facebook was one way that I was able to make that connection. Yeah. So that was really helpful. We also use social media as a tool, like I said, to research other businesses, to build the affiliate partnerships with like-minded people and organizations while building your customer database. So that's super helpful.
Awesome. Okay, so how have you specialized in marketing, and what makes you stand out from other businesses?
We used our collective knowledge from our past job experiences, and then we just hit the ground running. First, we amplified the community, the local landmarks, outdoor activities, and so on. And then we would put together small videos, and then we blasted them on Facebook. We were cold calling organizations and sending them emails, asking if we could cross promote their business with ours, and then we offered them a free ad. That way we were generating a high amount of organic leads for ourselves, as well as the companies that we were working with. And that's how we actually grew fairly quickly, was through those collaborations and by offering them that first free ad, and then blasting it all over the place, and then inviting people to like our pages, and inviting telling these people, hey, invite your community to like our page. And then it was like,
yeah.
So I feel like that's the moccasin telegraph is Facebook or social media. Awesome. I love it. So you've already talked about how you amplify other businesses, which I think is so, so important. I think it's important, yes, to believe in what, your business is doing, but I also think it's all about making the circle stronger and the community stronger. And so I just want to applaud you. I want to raise my hands to you that you are out there amplifying other businesses, because it can be so easy as entrepreneurs, just like looking at my own and taking care of my own. So I think that that's amazing that you do that. All right. So we already kind of touched a little bit about, COVID and how it's, impacted our business. I think one of your pieces of advice, Joel, was just to don't give up. It's that simple. Don't give up. Keep going. Is there anything else that you would add on to that?
Use your passion. Honestly, using your passion, finding something that you want as a niche, knowing that a niche sometimes limits you, but it also kind of brings you to the forefront of that niche. So you may be in that niche for a second, but the next step, you'll jump out of that and you'll be one step ahead of that and work in that niche very well and then move into another one. Always keep moving, because there's always a new business right now that you could market. There's another partner that you could create somewhere else. You look at what your business holds right now. Okay, so say I'm in tourism and I'm in marketing. Well, how do I connect with my customers the right way? Well, I create a picture. I ask a question. I create a poll. I ask them, which is this? Do you like this? Do you like this more? And then I start interacting that way. Asking your customers if they want to comment on your post, like it, share it. Contest. That was like that contest. It costs you nothing, okay, except your time. You can give away anything when it's free and it's your time. So that right there is a way to connect with people, and people love free, because as a young Indigenous entrepreneur,
yeah,
it's hard times sometimes. Sometimes you have to choose. You have to choose food or you have to choose marketing, and you have to kind of figure out which one's going to go. And you know what? Food's more important. Marketing is free. So that's something that you just choose. You can kind of see where you want to go. And I honestly can tell you that just keep going. Find your passion, use that, and move forward, and find mentors. Some of our mentors are absolutely amazing. They're some of the best people I've ever met, or not met, actually. And you know what? Watching and learning from their experience, they take away half of the drama and half of the stress, because they can make you jump over top of that problem, over that one and onto the next one. And their experience right there will help guide you in everything. There's people with marketing, there's people with sales, there's people with businesses, like business ideas. Yeah. And it's like those things, honestly, taking the time, getting to know what your passion is and utilizing that is where you want to go. That's all I can say.
Can you tell us a contest that you've done? Give us an idea of what that might look like.
We did one when we first started. It was with Squatches Lodge. It was with Mr. Bannock. It was with Hellsay Tours. It was with Phillips Brewery in Victoria. It was with there was a
V2V, which was a
catamaran that from Vancouver to Victoria, right? And that was like, so that whole thing was worth like, I don't know, like $1,600, and it was all connected by all of our affiliates. So all of our friends put in something so that they would be marketed with us. It's not hard for you to do something for free, especially when all of you work together. And I will donate marketing anytime.
You got my wheels turning. That's amazing. I love hearing that. Okay, so how are you planning? I mean, we don't want you to spill your secrets, so only if you want to, but how are you planning to expand your business? And then what are you looking forward to, like, 2 years, 5 years down the road?
Well, we're always learning, always taking in as much knowledge as we can. We've joined groups where big sharks are, and we soak up as much as we can and follow the paths that they guide us in. A lot of different mentors out there, if you can't afford to take their full-on course, like Kendall Netmaker says, he will leave you crumbs and you have to follow them. You just have to put in the work.
And some of them aren't crumbs. Some of these guys are dropping like foot-long Subway sandwiches down the road, and you're just going to pick up and eat. So be mindful. Look at those crumbs that you think are crumbs. Wow, you're like, wow.
Yeah. And like Joel said, we actually just expanded into the States. So just opened up an LLC in Colorado. So that's super exciting. We're excited to partner with a travel company in the Bahamas, like he said. So we're really going to be utilizing our American network to help build our affiliate partner base down there. And then, yeah, connection with cannabis.
Yeah.
Just received our industrial hemp license. So with that, we'll be creating biofuels and energy efficient building supplies. But like, that's a whole other story. We'll probably have to come talk to you again in a couple months, update you on that.
And then the rebrand. So for the States, we ended up rebranding. So we own the Owl's Path LLC, and then the Pop Cannabis Tourism is the newest one that we run out of Canada, and we're going to be opening in the States as well. And that'll be the cannabis tourism. And so anybody that's interested in hemp and stuff down the road, let's get together.
Mm-hmm. And so we're really excited. We have some marketing packages that are put together for our Indigenous and non-Indigenous partners and potential partners. And so we're really excited about that. Excited to get on the ground and go meet with people and take some photos and interview some people and really showcase our affiliates.
Well, I'm super inspired. I'm super excited for you and your business and this vision that just seems to keep growing and growing. And I just love it. So thank you so much for your time. I don't know, Ken, do you have any questions before we say goodbye? So Ken's joining us from Ontario.
Yes, actually, I've got quite a bit. I could probably go half an hour, but I'll keep it short. First of all, you were talking about building materials, and you were talking about hemp. And if you're not already familiar with the Montours family out of Ohsweken in Ontario, they have an operation called Grand River Enterprises, and their president is Ken Hill. They're out of Ohsweken, so it's now they own Canadian gypsum. Now that's gypsum in the walls. I assume you don't want to put hemp in the walls, but a connection for you to be able to sell or to have a contact for gypsum to be shipped out to you instead of selling other. There's been other expressions that people don't want to buy Chinese gypsum or Chinese wallboard. So if you talk to Ken Hill, and you need to be persistent because they Ken Hill in Ohsweken, and it's called Grand River Enterprises, and it's out of Ohsweken. Obviously, it's Indigenous, Haudenosaunee. And now the second thing is now the Montours did have operations in Nevada with hemp. So awesome. All these things kept sticking in my mind and saying, well, the Montours were involved. Now, Ken Hill should be able, because I'm sure the Montours are still involved. Now, the Montours have been very active, Mohawks in the Oka crisis, et cetera, et cetera. So they're well known. Anyway, so yeah, Ken Hill can put you into contact. I know they had an I know they still have the hemp operation in Nevada, but or thereabouts. but there's hemp, there's United States, there's building materials. I've probably forgotten something, but I did have one more comment unrelated, and that is that when you were talking, when you have a customer or a visitor to your site or just called, so I wrote something down here. Let's see if I can read it here. If you do not find what you were looking for, please let us know so that we can consider having it ready for you on your next trip. So if you've got a customer already, it's easy. It's 10 times easier to sell him one more thing than to go and get a new customer. And if somebody's just visiting and they don't find, by saying, don't go away mad, give us some information so next time you number one, you won't go away without leaving some of your money. So those are the comments that I had. And anyway, if you need any other information or anything, Michelle can always put in contact with me, as she knows I'm a regular.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
So much.
Ken always brings his ideas to the table. He's always willing to lend his voice. So thanks so much, Ken, for that. We really,
I'd love to connect with him.
yes. You know, and you guys are all about that collaboration and conversation, you know, so this potentially is one of those pieces. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, sharing more of your story, what you're up to, and what's happening in the future. That's really exciting what you have going on. And so continue your path, continue to honor that passion that you have within you. That's what really drives us at the end of the day. And I always love the message of, and as simple as it is, right? As simple as it is, don't give up, keep going one foot in front of the other. So thank you so much for your words today. You're an inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody, thank you for joining us this afternoon. So it's Owl's Path. Where can we find you? Facebook, LinkedIn?
Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn.
We're getting into Tech Talk.
And then our website is topcanvastourism.com.
Awesome.
Oh, and
YouTube.
Oh, yeah, that'll
that's kicking off.
That's gonna be a fun one.
That's gonna be to see the real.
Awesome. So we look forward to hearing more from you. Can't wait to see what's gonna roll out for you. And you got Creator, you got the ancestors cheering you on. So we can't go wrong when they are in our corner. So thank you all. Be well, and we'll see you again. Peace.
Take care, Michelle.